Alright, so I've driven it a couple times and things seem to be working well. Drove it back and forth to work a few times. I drove it down the highway, 50 plus, it worked okay. Built a couple PSI of boost, but as soon as it builds boost, I back off of it just to see if everything is airtight, So it's actually pouring, and it's been pouring. It's been raining for a day and a half now, and the weatherman is predicting that it's not going to let up anytime soon. So I figure, okay, I've got a few hours today. I'm going to start working on putting the body pieces back on it. But I'm starting over here because that is the computer, and I want to make sure that above all else I get the PCM protected, because there's splash guards and all that kind of stuff in there. So there's something I wanted to show you guys about these fenders that I don't think I've shown yet. Is there's actually a screw right there, and it's inside the fender. And let's see, you can't get to it through there because that is actually that's actually sealed off. It's way up in there. Let's see. I don't know, can you see that? But that's the screw, and that sucker will not let you get the fender off. The other thing is there's a bolt right there. So the bumper bolts to these two guys, the bumper bolts to these two, but then the fender bolts there. So you have to make sure that you take care of that one also. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, there's a screw hidden underneath this rubber thing. So you actually have to peel it back. And there's a screw hidden in there. And then you can't forget about this guy right here. But those are a few little things that I noticed whenever I was taking the fenders off. And I didn't really have to take the fenders off, but because I've got the 2-inch piping on this kit instead of the standard piping, and I had to weld some of those pipes together, I just didn't want the fenders to get broken or scratched or torn up in any way. So it took me, I already had all the splash guards out and all that stuff. So it took me like another 10 minutes to take off the extra 10 screws that hold the fender together. I already pulled the bumper off to make putting the intercooler and all that piping in there. So it just protected stuff. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you guys. I painted my intercooler black. You can't really see it at all unless I have light directly on it. And I kind of like that because the intercooler, the shape of it is designed for flow, and it's not designed to look pretty. If it was one of those intercoolers that came down to like right here, and this pot right here was on the side, I probably would have left it a little bit more visible. But really, you can't tell that my car is turbocharged. Not one little bit. So the turbos are actually back here, and if you're just looking, they're just exhaust pipes. That's it. There's no other indication until I lift the hood and you see this thing. And unless you know about cars, or I tell you this is a blow-off valve, you would have no idea that my car is turbocharged. So I wasn't really going for the sleeper look, but I kind of have the sleeper look, so I might as well take advantage of it. But you better be careful when you see white Corvettes pull up next to you. You never know what they've got hiding under the hood and the bumper and the fenders. Alright, so body panels, putting all that stuff back together. Got this guy in here trimmed to where the pipe actually comes through it. But there's something you have to think about. There's actually a screw, one of these guys, that goes up through here. But if you look, right here, this pipe actually runs right there. And so with this screw sticking up through there, it actually rubbed on the pipe. So I took the little thing out and I took the screw out and I replaced it with some cable ties. But really, there's nothing under there. There's literally nothing under there. The only thing that screw did was connected this piece of plastic to this fiberglass. And that's it. So I'm okay leaving those zip strips in there. Here's where I don't know if you can see, the water pipe comes out right there. So it doesn't drain on there. I guess it does a little bit, but it should be okay. So that's one thing. And another thing I want to show you guys is what I'm doing with my bumper. So here's my bumper, and this is this is the radiator shroud. If you'll notice, there's a giant hole in it. Well, that's because I actually have a Vera Ram air intake that I took off of it that I'm probably gonna sell, but whoever had it before me just cut this big ugly hole in it, and this actually stuck in there. So I don't need this anymore. And this has got a big hole in it if that's not there, so I'm just gonna take it out. And in the factory Corvettes, they've got this, that shroud there, and then they also have the air box that goes, the air box that actually goes right here, and that kind of covers up all of the ugliness in there. Well, the kit actually comes with this piece of plastic that just slips down in there, and if you haven't already cut your shroud to pieces, then it would cover your shroud and everything would be nice and pretty. But I have a hole in my shroud, so I'm actually ditching it. I'm missing something I wanted to show you guys. Hold on. All right, I found it. It's this. I'm pretty sure this is the intake air temperature or outside temperature sensor or something like that. It's a sensor of some kind, and it actually goes right here on your radiator shroud. Goes in there like that. So I'm actually going to relocate that somewhere, and it plugs into this guy right here on the passenger side. This is for the fog lights, and this is for the runner light. So that's gonna get mounted somewhere. I haven't decided where, but here's the key that I wanted to show you guys. I'm ditching my radiator shroud, but I'm also ditching this thing. So this actually, the shroud fits right here, and I started looking, and there's a good 6 or 8 inches right here that's actually blocked of the mouth of the bumper. So I decided I'm gonna take the whole thing off. And we'll see how ugly that looks, but it's no structural support whatsoever. Sorry, there was a spider. No structural support whatsoever. It screws in right here, and it screws in right here. And hell if I know, it doesn't really do anything. Only thing I can figure out is that this piece right here actually provides some kind of support for this part. But then again, it's got these that have screws that screw to the frame. And it's actually a pretty substantial, this actually bolts to the frame with a substantial nut that's, the size of a quarter. So I'm ditching this. And I'm about to put the bumper on the car and kind of see what it looks like without that thing in there. Because it could just be also that it makes it look pretty. So we'll see, because I can't really do much else until I get the front bumper on. But actually you have to put the fenders on, then the bumper. So in order to get the fenders off, you have to take the bumper off. So I just want to test fit it a little bit before I call it a day and see what it looks like. Well, it looks like that little piece of plastic actually does help a little bit. It makes it look a little bit more complete. So if you can see that, you can actually see, let's get this other light. I guess that helps a little bit, but you can see kind of some wires. You can see the frame. It just kind of looks unfinished. So, and I was worried that it was actually going to block some of the air flowing in there. The intercooler is actually about the same size as the shroud, and so is the radiator. So, looks like that piece of plastic is going to go back in there, and I might even put the shroud back in there. No, I lied. The shroud won't fit because the intercooler won't fit in the shroud. But we'll see. I'll give you guys some video as we come along.